you become president, but you can't do highways, health, medicine, aviation, everything. You have to have qualified professionals to do that. Now, the SJB team has that. Anukumar Janayaka, he goes around talking on stages. He is a star. People come to listen to his speeches. But what is his team? To date, can you name 10 people who we know who can take up economics or aviation or health or whatever? The runaway president's team is the same team that's around Mr. Vikramasinghe now. That is my personal opinion. However, these youth who are shouting to say, out with all the old fellows, let all the youngsters go in, that will not work. You have to work with the seniors. See, I haven't come to 25 years of practice experience at the bar.
Welcome to Ideal Island UK. Today is a special day for Ideal Island UK. We are interviewing a special guest, Chrismal Warnasuriya, who is an international lawyer, and a special moment, his daughter, Kiara Warnasuriya, also joining with us, and we are going to have the show, Kiara. We'll start.
Okay. So, because I know, I think, more than enough about your personal life, let's talk about your political journey. You have, I think, a well-established practice in Sri Lanka, in the UK, and I guess internationally over the past 24 years. What made you move into politics?
Yeah, first, thank you, Thushari, to you and Satya for inviting me to Idealisland UK. I've to all your viewers. It's answer to, I never knew that when I sent my daughter Kiara to be a journalist in Sri Lanka with some radio station and a newspaper, that I'll end up answering questions. But you're right, it's a nice occasion. Let's see how she does. Kiara, so a very simple answer is your grandparents. Your grandparents groomed me up other than earning a living and only looking after myself, to serve the public. They, not by telling me, but by their life example, they showed me that life was more than just earning for oneself. Life was to be spent in the service of others. I think it has also to do with our Christian upbringing, Thushari, that the church had a big influence on that we were supposed to spend a life of service. But I still remember my father was a public servant. He worked at the treasury for a very long time, 13 years in the budget division. My mother was a teacher, but both of them went beyond their service. So my mother would actually bring children home after school and teach them for no fee, for no charge. She'd go out of the way to find children who were without education and take them to school. My father, I remember when at one time he was working at the WNOP, the Widows and Orphans Pension Department. There were people who came in the evenings because there was such a queue at that time to get their pensions worked up. And he would do their files in the night till very late in the night. And without charging a cent. I remember my mother saying this almost critically, that even when they were retiring, after 30 odd years in the public service, they were still paying their bank loan for the house that they built. So that public service, Kiara, was almost molded into me, and I suppose I had no choice. I had to become a political activist, and then I'm sure you would have studied in your political science, as Aristotle says that man is a political animal by birth. So there must be a political animal in me, as Aristotle says, and there you are. So that's what led me to public service. Politics to me is a way to serve people, as you correctly said. I don't need to get vehicles or foreign travel or anything out of politics. I already have it. But I would like to give something back with what I have, with what I have been blessed with, and that's why politics.
And you think the best way to give it back is through politics?
Yeah. How else? See, through my area of practice of law, I am limited. So if someone brings me a case, as you know, I will go to court and fight. Or if it's a public interest matter, it has to come to me for me to go to court and get some relief. So there have been cases like that, like the health policy that we managed to get, that I fought for about 6-7 years. Then the express pearl cases that are going on. There are public interest cases that I do. But if I were to be part of the legislature, law making part, government works in three ways. So there's the judiciary that I'm involved in. I must take a case there and wait for a decision to come for something to be implemented, and then that a person must come to me with that problem. However, in the legislature, I feel there is much more opportunity for me to work with the policy angle of a country, to take our country. As you know, our country is not in a very good state. It needs all the brains that we can find. Not only in Sri Lanka, I take this opportunity, Satya, on your station to invite all Sri Lankans who are overseas, perhaps like me. I mean, at least I go every month. I work there and here, but those who are resident overseas, come join us, because there is a country to be rebuilt and there is a country to be developed, so that is why I think politics is the way to help rebuild the country that seriously need us.
So you are trying to tell Chrismal that your profession is limited. I mean, the areas you can cover. So the politics is the only way that you can serve the people.
Yeah, I do serve with law. I have tried my best in the last 24 years of my practice, but I can serve a larger cross section.
Large arena, yes.
A larger cross section, and also I don't need to wait till someone brings me a problem to address an issue. Say, for example, if the country is facing an issue now, all of you know that I have pledged my support to presidential candidate Mr. Premadasa, and I have been having discussions with him on how we can amend laws, how we can update our laws, how we can make laws more people friendly, how we can make access to justice better for people, so that people don't have to go through so many loopholes to get things done. So things like that I can work on with whatever I have accumulated, my knowledge or experience that I've got to where I am today. I can use it for the betterment of the country via politics.
Via politics, okay.
And on that topic about the present candidate, Mr. Premadasa, what do you think, or how do you think you can give back, as you said, through his political campaign now, that you have joined his party?
Yeah. I don't know.
Why do you select him? Like, there are other parties.
And why not others?
Yes, why not others? Why especially him? Yes.
I was waiting for that to come.
Exactly.
So Thushari, all of us make choices based on what we see. So Kiara, when I looked at people who are candidates, there is my former party leader, incumbent president, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, with whom I ran the last election. As you will remember, for the first time in my life, I got membership of a political party. In 2015, when the JVP put me on the national list, I never joined that party. I was invited as a professional, and I won that seat. You know what happened. And then someone else went in my place. So when I look at the persons contesting, I know immediately after this election, there is going to be a government to be formed. So whether it's Sajid or someone else, they will have to have a government to run the country. Now, when I look at the candidates around, so your question is, why Sajid and why not Ranil or Anura or Namal, right? So the why is, I see a team around Mr. Sajid Premadasa that I don't see in the other camps. And this is what I'm asking people to consider very seriously. There are proven people in the SJB camp. As you know, every day massive parties and people are joining Sajid. Why? Because I feel that they all see that this is the only camp that can take our country out of where it is. So, for example, if you compare the people and the team around Sajid, you know that he has ample resources to make a good team, to run a government. One person can't run everything, no.
Yeah.
See, you become president, but you can't do highways, health, medicine, aviation, everything. You have to have qualified professionals to do that. Now, The SJB team has that. But if you compare my former comrade, Anukumar Janayaka, he goes around talking on stages. He is a star. People come to listen to his speeches. But what is his team? To date, can you name 10 people who we know who can take up economics or aviation or health or whatever? We don't. And if you look at Mr. Vikramasinghe's camp, they're all rogues. The same rogues that the people kicked out at the Aragalaya, that was the president who ran away, leaving his office, after which Mr. Vikramasinghe had to go and fill up the remaining part of that term. The runaway president's team is the same team that's around Mr. Vikramasinghe now. The good fellows have gone out. The good fellows have gone out. So, when you look at that, Kiara, and then my dear friend Namal, young lawyer, young Thomian, I would like him one day to go up in politics. Actually, this is a lovely occasion, Kiara. I have a Thomian who was a few years senior to me, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, who was at St. Thomas's Prep before he went to Royal and then came to England. So, one Thomian who I'm supporting. There's another young Thomian who's also, I'm very proud to say, from my school, who's running for president, Mr. Namal Rajapaksa. And I wish young Namal well, but I really don't think we can entrust any country to a man without any experience like that. So Namal has some way to go. I wish him well. I hope he'll groom to be a mature political leader one day. So that's why. So I looked around at the teams. SJB has the best team, and I know that I'm confident that we can do something with the SJB, and I'm positive that I'll be able to contribute to that.
So that is why you have joined hands with Sajid Premadasa now. But what about for everyone else? What can we see in this party that they offer us that other parties don't?
Professionalism, non-corrupt government, and a vision to change. If you've been looking at the past record of Mr. Premadasa, even when he was opposition leader, I do not know, I have lost count of how many schools that man has gone to and helped children's education. See, that, Kiara, as a younger citizen of Sri Lanka, I'm telling you, that is the way to change the country. You educate people. And Mr. Premadasa, I have seen, has taken ample time from his duties to go and contribute to the cause of education. That's one thing. Number two, what we see in that camp is a repeated statement that we will not tolerate corruption. The bane of our country has been not that we didn't have people to fund us, not that we didn't have people to help us. We've had people coming and giving us funding, giving us project loans, but what happened to us is 100 rupees is given, only 20 rupees is spent on the project, 80 rupees goes down the line to some corrupt pockets. But under the Premadasa government, I am assured, and when I look at those people around, I am assured that corruption will be cut down. And when that corruption is cut down, the world looking at us, even those funders who are now, like the IMF or World Bank, whoever who's looking at us with a suspicious eye saying, oh, well, it's the same rogues, we are scared to give money. You know, when I go to a bank, it's the same thing. If I go to a bank and if I have stolen some other bank's money, or if I'm a rogue, or if the bank knows I'm a rogue, they're going to be scared to lend to me. But if the bank sees a proposal that's worthwhile, if the bank sees my record is credible, the bank is going to lend me. So it's the same thing with the country. And with Sajid Premadasa's team, I'm assured that we will have enough help from our friends globally and regionally to rebuild the country. So that's what the country can expect from a Premadasa government.
What about youth? How youth can trust the Premadasa government when it comes? What they are going to do? I mean,
Very good
how
question.
they are going to build that?
Very good question. I expected that to come from the youth.
Yes.
But I'm glad that you asked it. Thushari, see, now I have heard this statement, particularly coming from these rebel groups, including, as I said, my former comrade, the NPP camp, that the old people must be kicked out and the youngsters must go in. I agree. But can you put 25 youngsters into the 225 seats in parliament, give them finance, irrigation, health, and ask them to run a country?
No.
You can't.
Yes, yeah.
You
it
can't.
should be an
You need mature people to work with them and then we must gracefully move out. That is how it must happen. So for the youth that I can hear shouting, everyone over 75 go off, agreed. 75, someone must have a retirement age. I have personally decided to myself, I am 52 now, I am not going to be in office beyond 65. If I live that long with the grace of God. But certainly 60 or 65, now Supreme Court judges can work up to 65, public service up to 60. I have set a target to myself. I am not going to be in any paid office by any citizen after 65. That is my personal opinion. However, these youth who are shouting to say, out with all the old fellows, let all the youngsters go in, that will not work. You have to work with the seniors. See, I haven't come to 25 years of practice experience at the bar as a lawyer, Kiara, with nothing. No. There is experience that I've accumulated over these 25 years. There is blood, sweat and tears there. Now, a youth who has just taken oaths or just passed into law will not have all that experience. So, we need to find a way to get the youth. You're very right, Thushari. We need to get the youngsters working with us. And I think the SJB government has already made an intention. There are so many youngsters who are working with us. But they need to work with the senior crowd. So after a while, we will leave the country to you. We can't run this forever. It's your country. You need to run it. But we will work with you and share our experiences and knowledge with you, so that then you can take over and we can happily watch TV and say, that's the so-and-so who worked with me, who's running this. That's so-and-so who I... No, that's a lovely thing. And actually, that's, Thushari, I have personal experience of that in law. When we went as young lawyers, there were so many times, these big stars, big names that we have seen, we would go and ask them, sir, how do you do this? Sir, how do you file this petition? And there are people who would charge huge amounts of fees from clients, but they'll take the time. Say, Puta, come during the lunch to canteen, I'll tell you. And they'll sit with you. They say, Puta, don't do this. No, change this. And they'll teach you. So one generation gives to the other. That's the way we need to follow. So the youth must come in, but the youth must work with the seniors, get the experience, and then we must gracefully move out, allowing the youth to continue. And then the next generation comes. That's how it goes.
But what do you have to say to the youth that have given up on politics?
Don't give up. Don't give up, because if you give up on politics, you're giving up on your own country. You see, that the youth, I'm calling upon that youth who have lost faith in the system, work with us. Work with a possible SJB government in the future. Work with a possible 9th executive president, Mr. Sajid Premadas, in the future. Work with people like me who may have something to contribute to you. And do not give up, because if you give up, then we have lost. If your generation, Kiara, Generation Z, right? Gen Z. If Gen Z gives up, I have lost. That means that everything that I have done for the last so many years of my life has been in vain. But I invite the youth not to give up, to work with us for a few more years, and we will make you a better country that you can run thereafter. And as I said, we'll happily retire and watch you do it.
Thank you. And let's talk about something that happened very recently. The president suggested that the head of the judiciary must have a chat with the head of legislature and then sort out, there was some issue at the Supreme Court ordering the suspending of the IGP to function. So is that how a government should work?
Absolutely not. That's utter rot. That's not, and my learned friend, Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, the incumbent president, His Excellency the President, knows that very well. If someone who didn't know the law had said it, Kiara, I would have excused that. However, when I know that although Mr. Wickramasinghe didn't practice at the bar, although he became a lawyer, after a few years he went into politics. However, he's a lawyer. He has studied the constitution, just like we have. He knows that Sri Lanka is run by a constitution that is supreme. He knows that the rule of law governs our country. He knows that the judiciary, the executive and the legislative arms of government are equal. They are neither superior nor inferior to another. He knows all this. But without saying all that, just for his own political gain, so that he can have continuance he thought he could, continuance of an IGP that he has put in place, so that with the elections coming up, possibly he thought that this IGP will be more favorable to him. He suggests that the Honorable Chief Justice, the head of the judiciary, must have a cup of coffee and have a chat with the head of the legislature, who is Honorable Speaker, and to solve problems. That's not how countries run. And Mr. Wickramasinghe knows that. And he thinks, what is he, I saw that video clip. මම කියන්නම් මේ කතානායකතුමාට මම කියන්නම් අග්නිශාමකතුමාට who does he think they are? They are not his servants. Just like he is head of the executive branch of government, the Chief Justice is head of the judiciary, and the Speaker is head of the legislature. He can't give orders to them. He must also realize that His Excellency the President, my former party leader, and whom I have a lot of respect for, that you are also subject to law. You are also subject to the law of the country. You are not above it. And that is how so many decisions have been given by against former presidents recently. I am very glad that the Supreme Court has taken a firm stance, and it's giving some very strong decisions, because at least the people of this country have faith in the judicial arm of government. When the executive and the legislative arms have been failing, I'm very happy that the judiciary has taken a strong viewpoint on several public issues. And so, no, that is not how government runs. Government runs through a classic separation of powers, and that is well set out in the Constitution, and Mr. Wickramasinghe knows that very well. Although he goes and invites the Honorable Chief Justice and Honorable Speaker to have a chat and solve problems. That is not how governments run.
He also wants to apparently correct about the 22nd Amendment, correct the 19th Amendment with the 22nd Amendment. And you were, I believe, involved in the drafting of the 19th Amendment. I remember that. So have you all collectively made a big mistake with the 19th Amendment?
No, we haven't. We did not make a mistake, Kiara. I'm glad that you remember that. You see, when 2015 the Yahapalana government came in, there was a clear mandate that the government was going to amend the constitution to reduce the term of the president's office and reduce the term of parliament. Now that was a mandate given to us. As the government came in, I got a call from Temple Trees, where Mr. Wickramasinghe was the Prime Minister, His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena was the President, and I was told by his secretary to come to form some committee to draft the 19th Amendment. So I remember my Senior President's Council, my learned friend Dr. Jayapathi Vikramaratne, with whom I have worked at Mr. Mustafa's chambers. You know these people. You met them when you were a small girl. Dr. Jayapathi and I were on this committee, and I asked Mr. Ekanayake, the then Prime Minister Wickramasinghe's secretary, who else was on the committee. I was told only 4 more people were there with me. Prime Minister Wickramasinghe was going to be in the committee, Dr. Vikramaratne, Priyani Vijayasekara, former parliamentary commissioner, and Nurj Niranjan Dewaditya, who lives in England, who is Mr. Wickramasinghe's friend. We were going to be in this committee. However, so when we went to draft that 19th Amendment, we had a clear mandate that the government did not want any amendments that touched or that would lead to a referendum. Now, Article 83 and 82 of the Constitution have some entrenched provisions. Now, Article 83 that His Excellency Mr. Wickramasinghe, the present President, is trying to now amend, touches one of those entrenched provisions. Entrenched provisions are provisions that can't just be amended by a 2/3 majority in Parliament. You must also go to a referendum. So the 2015 Yahapalana government gave a very clear mandate to us. Yes, we want you to reduce the term of office of Parliament. We want to reduce the term of office of President, but don't touch anything. We don't want to go to a referendum. And that is why we drafted the 19th Amendment in that manner. Of course, as you will remember, your father stopped halfway in that committee because that committee became a committee of UNP lawyers. So, and then I very kindly excused myself. But later on, I got involved in it when the matter was being argued in the Supreme Court for its constitutionality. Again, I got involved in it. However, what we drafted and what was finally went as law in the country, the 19th Amendment, there is nothing wrong in it. Remember that the President's term of office has been clarified not once, not twice, so many times in our country. His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena around 2018 wanted to ask the same question from Supreme Court. I appeared in that matter also. And the Supreme Court very clearly said, no, it's not 6, it's 5. And now President Wickremesinghe, very suddenly he has woken up just 1 month before the election, sent some man called Lena or Maina or someone to find, ask the Supreme Court whether it's 6 or 5. Supreme Court very clearly said no, it's still 5. And what were you doing all this time? And they whacked an order of costs also on. Then they sent another man. මුට්ටි දාලා බැලුවා. තවත් මුට්ටියක් දැම්මා. The next man was charged higher amount in cost. Because the same answer was given. So Mr. Wickremesinghe has nothing to clarify. The term of office is 5 years. Also, if you look at the wording of the constitution, I don't want to make this a law lesson, but if you look at the wording of the constitution, it's only to increase. It's only to increase the term of office that would be a problem. Now here, the president's term of office has been reduced to 5 years and it remains 5 years. So unless Mr. Wickremesinghe wants to increase his term of office, then he'll have to go to a referendum, and unless that is his intention, if he wants to serve the term that he left over, as I said, the president that ran away, the runaway president left some months remaining, and Mr. Wickremesinghe must serve that part, and in my opinion he must gracefully retire, because there are youngsters, as you all said earlier, younger people who can take over the country. Now, if Mr. Wickremesinghe wants to remain in office, he must go to an election and face it. Without doing that, you don't try constitutional Jill marks like this, as a former presidential candidate said, to try and extend your term of office. So, there is absolutely no need for this 22nd Amendment now. There is sudden need to look at a 22nd Amendment. It's not there anymore. So that's my take on it. There is absolutely no need for an amendment. The law is very clear, and the Supreme Court, that has the sole authority to interpret the Constitution, has said it not once, not twice, thrice, but 4 times.
Okay. And let's talk about something that's going on here in the UK right now. We've had far-right riots, a lot of racist attacks, hate speech going around. What are your thoughts on that?
Very unfortunate. I was sad that we actually had to see it in a country like the United Kingdom. Of course, I have my personal thoughts on this so-called right-wing riots as to why suddenly, after a Labour government is elected, suddenly these riots should erupt, where it was not in this country all these years. Yes, there were right-wing people, but we never saw these shops being attacked and houses being attacked, and 3 very young children lost their lives. And what a plight must those parents be going through. So, in a country like the United Kingdom that tolerates a lot of opinion, a lot of dissent, for these things to suddenly erupt, I think those who are in authority in this country must actually investigate to see from where these sudden eruptions came. Having said that, Kiara, you remember, and you all don't remember, that's probably the problem. We lived in a war-torn country for 30 years. We lived with this racial hatred that was part of our everyday lives. The same Sri Lankans in the 1930s and 40s, mainly the Tamils and the Sinhalese, who fought with each other for independence country, who fought together. I remember when the old story is said that when Mahamani D.S.N. Naik, our first Prime Minister, before he became Prime Minister, imprisoned by the British, it was his colleagues in school and some other royals who were Tamil gentlemen who came to England carrying a petition to get them released. So these were the Tamils and Sinhalese who fought together for a better country, suddenly erupted into a war. And it was not a war between Tamils and Sinhalese, it was a political war. There were politicians on both sides that fueled the war. In my opinion, if we had handled that better, we would not have had to go through 30 years of a war. But anyway, that happened. So for us that come from Sri Lanka, where we have seen such racial hatred, ethnocentrism or ethnic rioting, where a majority ethnicity tries to suppress a minority ethnicity, I don't think in Sri Lanka we had that, because as Sinhalese I have never seen in my family or in my school or people that I've associated, anyone having any such hatred towards the Tamil race. We've played together, we've gone to school together, and we are, some of your father's best friends are Tamils. So, but there were political reasons that led to those racial sentiments in Sri Lanka.
So before we end this program, since we are both two ladies here, I think a fair question would be, what's in it for female participation in politics? With if Mr. Premadasa does win, since you have assured us that this government will be a good one,
It will be.
if he does win,
He will.
what will his government offer all females in Sri Lanka who have been, I think, very hesitant over the past few years to participate in politics?
To be fair, Kiara, this question has been discussed not just at this election but over the last so many years for several reasons. Perhaps it's our cultural values that prevented ladies from entering mainstream politics previously. But we've seen an increase, as you said, particularly at local authority level. I remember when I was running the last campaign in Morotua, you will remember that there were lots of ladies who were local authority representatives who was in my team. So, but this question has been tried to be grappled with by several governments. You will remember that there was a ratio that some time back we introduced to the laws, particularly in the local authority elections, that there must be a ratio of ladies that contest elections. So I do not see a deviation of that policy in a Sajith Premadasa future president led government, because the SJB already has a very active ladies wing. The Samajana Balawege Kanta movement, or the ladies movement, is very active. There are some very vociferous and active ladies in that group. And I am sure that there will be much more representations going forward. Also, it has been assured by Mr. Premadasa, when I know at several fora, that equality for ladies, not just in politics but in everything, equality has been assured by Mr. Premadasa several times over, and therefore I can certainly foresee in the near future, there will be opportunity for more ladies to enter mainstream politics, and more than that, if you look at the reasons as to why ladies may not have come to politics in the past, such as they were running homes while the husband went to work in the previous years, or ladies were considered to be only good for the house. But that has changed. That has evolved now. Women and men are equal. Women and men grapple on equal terms on everything, right? We get on the aeroplane and the airline pilots are ladies most of the time. So this is habitually something done by men. So this evolution is going to come into politics as well. And I can certainly, as for myself, I can certainly assure you and other ladies that are out there that I will do my utmost to make sure that increase is practically worked on. Practical ways are found in which ladies and women can participate in politics in the future.
Assuring all the problems will sort out your government, your president.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much, Chrismal. Thank you, Kiara, for joining with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Thushari, and thank you, Kiara. I think you did well. Even as a father, I may say so. And thank you to your viewers, and thank you, Satya, for inviting me. And I wish, as I leave, I may not see you before the election is over again, that we make a new Sri Lanka, and that together we can build a new Sri Lanka.
Thank you.